Major news on the Sunday talk shows today, the high-stakes drama that is unfolding in Washington over immigration. Washington is bracing for a major collision over the issue, with the president threatening executive action by the end of the year to protect millions of illegal immigrants from deportation. And Republicans are just as insistent, saying the president will pay a big price if he goes down this road alone. All this with the threat of another government shutdown. Joining us now to talk about it, former Democratic Senator and Fox News contributor Evan Bayh. Senator, you've been in these situations. You've been in opposition in the Senate. You have words going around like war, poison the well, playing with matches. Once you've gotten these two sides on the brink here, and if so boxed themselves in with their words, is there any going back, or are we going to have a fight?
Well, it certainly makes it a lot harder once sides get entrenched like this. But you can ordinarily count on both sides to do what they think is in their best interest. I think on this particular issue, it's unlikely we'll get a substantive compromise. The bases of the two parties are just too far apart. So the president will probably go forward. The Republicans will be inflamed by that. But if the Republicans actually shut down the government, that's not in their best interest. They've got to find a way to respond to the president without essentially harming themselves.
How do you respond to a president in that sense? When you say it's in his best interest, he's a lame duck. He doesn't have to run for re-election anymore. What's in his best interest other than exactly what he wants to do?
Well, that's just it. The president's looking for a legacy. He views this as being part of his legacy. In the long run, politically, they think that this will cement the Hispanic community as a part of the Democratic coalition, particularly if the Republicans overreact. So this is a tough issue for the Republicans. They need to pick their spots on other issues. The Keystone Pipeline has broad bipartisan support, both in the country and in the Congress. Improving some parts of Obamacare, for example, the medical device tax, the 30-hour full work week rule, the personal mandate, some of those things would be popular with the public and possibly in the Congress. Those kind of things would put the president in a tougher spot. That's where the Republicans should focus.
As they're focusing on those issues, what does this mean for Blue Dog Democrats? You're coming into 2016. It's a huge year. At some level, does it make it tougher for Blue Dog Democrats going into this if you've got a president who's also a Democrat who's done things that are so unbelievably unpopular with the public?
Well, it certainly could. I mean, a number of the more moderate to conservative Democrats lost, particularly in the Senate this time. You had 5 incumbents lose. So it can make it much more difficult for them politically. But as you pointed out, the president's not running again. He's looking for a legacy. But if he's smart, he can't allow his unpopularity to go too high, because then that would help the Republicans both cement their majorities in Congress and possibly elect his successor, and that would be very damaging for his legacy. So he's got to be careful, too.
I want to go back and play a soundbite from President Obama in 2011 who talked about what he could and couldn't do with immigration and then contrasted from today. Take a listen.
There are enough laws on the books by Congress that are very clear in terms of how we have to enforce our immigration system, that for me to simply, through executive order, ignore those congressional mandates would not conform with my appropriate role as president.
So now are we on to a different role as president that's not appropriate if he does things?
Someone from the White House will have to explain, that statement and reconcile it with the president's proposed actions. I think what you're seeing, though, is someone who's become frustrated with the slowness of Congress. That's pretty understandable. The Senate did pass a bipartisan bill. The House didn't even take it up. Perhaps the president would think, okay, let me give him 90 more days and say, if you don't bring this to a vote, then I'm going to have to act, but I'll at least give you a chance. That way, he would appear to be cooperative.
But doesn't that work against his best interest? Because if all of a sudden you give 90 days, you have a fully Republican Congress, they can put something in front of his desk that he doesn't want to have to sign.
But he can always veto that. He always has the ability to go forward with the executive order. Doing that before he's even extended to them an additional opportunity to act might put him in a stronger position ultimately. But on the other hand, he's saying, look, I've given you years. You've done nothing. This is important to the country. I'm going to go forward. And if you don't like what I'm about to do, well, then pass a law. But I think on this one, they're just going to be not in agreement. They're going to have to disagree on this and hopefully find something else that they can work on.
Well, we'll see if they can agree on anything. Former Senator Evan Bayh, thanks for joining us, sir. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Good to see you.